nothing is actually happening. And yet, obviously, things are appearing to happen. You seem to be watching a YouTube video right now. And so why would I say nothing is actually happening when it's obvious enough that things are happening? There's a few reasons for this. Let me start with the example of time. There's really no such thing as time. There's no past, there's no present, and there's no future. Some people say that all there is the present. There's only the now. And that might have a utility, but really there's not even a now. There's really nothing to grasp. The smallest unit of measurement that I'm aware of is called a zeptosecond. And so these two lines here represent 1 zeptosecond. And theoretically, we could create more units of measurement and it would just keep going for infinity. You could just keep breaking it down more and more and more. And so I drew these lines in between the zeptosecond, some lines in red and some lines in blue, to show how you could just keep going into it for eternity. There's really no point that you reach where it stops, where you can't break it down anymore, and there is such a thing as an absolute point. It doesn't exist. There's nothing there. And so the now doesn't exist. There's nothing really here, and yet there's the appearance of things that are here. And so how is that? Well, there seems to be a process of events that are unfolding whenever the mind reflects on memory. And that's this ephemeral, immediate, not now, but thisness, appearing as a memory. And that memory creates a sort of dreamlike mirage of a process that's unfolding. And there's not really anything that ever actually happens. There's just simply no time for anything to really happen, except through memory, through the mind, which also doesn't really exist. It's a bundle of appearances. Through memory, things can appear to happen. The past still doesn't exist. The past is this, appearing as a past, appearing as memories, but there's nothing there. So let's move away from the time example for a moment and go into the insubstantiality of things. That which seems to arise, the appearances, the phenomena, it's ultimately empty. As it stands, there has been no such fundamental building block for matter. Whenever physicists dive deep to try to find stuff that things are made out of, they fall short. There's just nothing there. They can make measurements, but they're not measurements of anything. And so it's nothing, no thing, appearing to be something, appearing as a mirage of movement. But there isn't really any difference that's made. It's ultimately all sameness, merely appearing as distinctions. Every particular thing that you could point to, it's ultimately nothingness, appearing as that. And so there's no real difference that's made between the apparent happenings of reality. And so nothing is really happening. There's no effect that's cast if it's all the sameness of emptiness appearing as form. Third reason for why nothing is really happening is because there isn't really anyone at the center of experience who is separate from the experience in order for anything to be happening to them. There's just no way to extricate yourself from the apparent happenings, from the everythingness, to objectify it, to know it, to say that this is happening to me. Happenings imply a duality of this and that, here and there. It implies a real change that's being made. And there just simply is no such duality. It's the non-dual appearing as a phantom-like experience of happenings, except nothing is really happening. And this is when I get into the practicality of it, or the non-practicality of it. And I have to go into this because people understandably assume that this is meant to be something practical, or they'll ask, how can I use this? How does this help me? It's crucial to point out that this is not practical. You can't use this for anything. It's too all-inclusive. And so there's just no way to use it in a greater or lesser way if it's already everything. There's no way to extricate yourself from it, to use it as an object for your own advantage. So this isn't practical whatsoever. The ultimate truth can't be practical. And it's not good or bad. It's beyond all of that. And so you can't weaponize this. You can't say, oh, well, Ross says that nothing is actually happening, and so therefore I'll take that as a license to do any malicious thing that I want, and it doesn't matter because it's not really happening. That's not what's being said. Obviously, as I stated, there's the apparent happening, and within that apparent happening, there's the natural cause and effect. If you do this, then that happens. So if you want to go do something malicious, you can expect repercussions for it. So I won't condone any particular thing as a result of this. This is not something that you can take away as acquired knowledge that you can use. It's not useful whatsoever.